Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Eesha Patel. I'm a spiritual mentor, and for the last couple of years, I have been watching the craziness that's been unfolding in this world. And so, my intention for you today is to feel a sense of empowerment and come back to your heart, is in the sense of just remembering who you are, as a human being, as a spiritual being, as the co-creator that you are. Um, Sometimes it's very difficult for me to share these messages because I see very clearly what's happening in the matrix, and I can see through the layers of the stories and the dramas and whatever else is playing out. And it breaks my heart to see humanity in the way that it currently is, for the large part, a state of hopelessness and helplessness. And there's this sense of, I don't know what to do, or just almost being like a victim to a circumstance. And gosh, I wish for every human being on this planet to come back into their heart and to remember who we really are, how powerful we really are as human beings, to be able to change our current reality in an instant. It just doesn't take that much for us to come back into that. And yet at the same time, for the last 2 years, there's been so much that's just been trying to get in the way of that. All these agendas, all the fear. We are spiritual beings. We are made of energy. Energy is everything. And yet for the last 2 years, it's just been this massive, massive agenda to shift the frequency of humanity into fear as much as possible. And it's fear around everything. It's fear around the pandemic. It's fear around the vaccine for the pandemic. It's fear around the economic state. It's fear around just anything you can think of right now. It's just fear, 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 fear. And I wish for you to know that there's another way. This is the one thing that, the agenda to keep humanity small. This is, if we all learn this one thing now, then the agenda is finished. And I will speak a little bit about this. We are multidimensional beings. We are spiritual beings inside a physical body, which means that we have access to not only, this essence that is here right now, but we have access to everything outside of this, in like every dimension, every reality, every past life is all accessible right here in the now, right here. It's all available. So all future potentials are available right now. All past history is available for us to learn from. And so in the bigger picture of everything that's going on, when you really take that higher perspective and you look outside the matrix and you see, okay, what's actually going on in the bigger picture here? All it is a game of how can we keep humanity in fear? And I'm seeing people just buying into it. People are just buying into it. And it's just, the one thing that can never be taken away from us is, no matter what is happening in the external reality, no matter what is going on in the world out there, is you have a capacity to choose your frequency. You have the capacity to choose your internal state of being. As difficult as it may sound, it is something that begins inside of you. I remember a few years ago when I really, really, really understood this on such a deep level. I was going through a massive, massive spiritual awakening in 2015. And I remember just laying in bed one day, and suddenly it was like everything around me just dissolved. There was like, the bed was gone, the walls were gone, the house around me, the streets, everything just gone. And instead, what I saw was the cosmos. It was like I was standing on the edge of the universe, and it was a blank slate. There was nothing there, and yet at the same time, I remember having that feeling of just being able to think, and then suddenly the thing would appear. And so when I had that experience, it was like suddenly I just knew how creation is created, how this planet is created. There are 7.8, almost 7.9 billion people on this planet right now. And every single one of our thoughts, our frequencies, our energies are going into this collective consciousness. And in that consciousness, it is all coming together, and this reality is being created. And yes, there are certain beings, and I won't go too deep down the rabbit hole there today, who don't want this planet to ascend, who don't want humanity to ascend. And their agenda is because there are beings in the astral, the fourth dimensional astral, what we call the lower 40, who literally feed off the energy of human fear. So the energy of emotions is just that. It's an energy, right? Emotion equals energy in motion. And there are some beings on this planet, or around the planet, shall I say, who harvest that energy. It's like it's a food source, like it's the energy that they live off. And those beings, they are vibrating in that same frequency of low energy, of fear, right? Because otherwise they wouldn't be able to consume it as a food source. It's the same as like, like as a human being, if there is like an animal and that animal is killed, and in the moment of the animal dying, that animal's in fear, and then the human consumes that as a food source, to some extent it's the same thing. It's like humans consume the energetic vibration of that fear. And so there are beings that do that, but with humans. And so there is an agenda, and it's not even necessarily malicious most of the time. It's through ignorance, it's through lack of love connection, it's through disconnection from source, that these beings exist in that state where they're consuming the energy of fear as a food source. And so for those beings, it is in their highest interest to keep humanity in a constant state of fear, because they literally feed off that. So, and there's the rabbit hole gets so much deeper. I would be here for hours and hours if I went into that. But what I'm really here to share today is that there is a way out of this, and it's really not as difficult as we think it is, because the emotions are something that is inside of us. The frequency that we emit to our reality is something that is inside of us. And the biggest illusion on this planet right now is that we are being ruled by what is happening outside of us, when the truth is the creation happens from the inside. So if 7.8 billion people on the planet right now remembered that we can consciously shift our frequency now and lift our vibration into a frequency of love, the game would be over. It would be done and dusted. And not only would all of humanity awaken, but those other beings would awaken as well. It would be a mass level awakening. And this is really essentially the premise behind the planetary ascension. It is that lifting into that fifth dimensional frequency of unified field consciousness, because the unified field consciousness, it's such a frequency in that when you're truly in the unified field, you feel the energy of every other being around you in that space. So you feel the energy, the emotions of the animals. Like you would feel the pain of killing an animal. You would feel the pain of hurting another being. You would feel the pain of saying words that are unkind, or, treating people badly. You would feel that as if it's your own, because in the unified field, there is no separation. But here on this planet right now, we are under the veil of separation. And there is also a beauty in that. It's not a bad thing. It's not bad to be human. It's not bad to have a 3D existence. But the way that the current state of humanity has gone, it's time for people to reawaken to that connection, to remember that connectedness of all that we are. Because if I'm standing in a room with 1,000 human beings, and even just one of them is in suffering and pain, in a unified field consciousness, everyone feels that consciously. And even unconsciously, there is an awareness of that. There is an awareness. It's like, many people these days are, they're calling themselves empathic. What is being empathic? Really, it's just the awakening to the consciousness. It's an awakening to the collective field. That's all it is. And so as we raise our frequency and we move out of this 3D, reality of just physical existence, and we remember who we are as multidimensional beings, we access that fifth dimensional energy. It's a love frequency, it's a unified field consciousness. And in that space, there is no reason to be in fear. And this is where the things get very interesting, because it's like there's illusions within illusions. There's like matrix within a matrix going on right now. And so many people are being caught up in it, But at the end of the day, it comes down to the most basic, simple truth of that you are a creator of your reality, and every frequency that you emit from your heart, from your body, from your energy centers creates the future of tomorrow. And so if you're spending a lot of time, listening to whatever's going on out there, and you're listening to the news and you're listening to these things, and you're noticing that fear in your body, that's the primary frequency that needs to shift. To create shift through the quantum field, you have to shift the frequency that you're emitting into it. And this is where, when we can do this on a mass scale, if we can share this video far and wide and get people just really remembering that truth of who we are, then more and more people go, hang on a second, I am aware now. I'm aware of my energy. I'm aware of myself as a conscious creator, and I can change that. That is empowering. And this is the one thing that those other beings don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that, because the second 7.8 billion people breathe into their hearts, open their heart spaces, and feel the love and the connectedness that we are, then it's gone. It's game over. It's checkmate. There's nothing left after that. And so this is a real deep moment of of self-reflection, especially as we move into 2022. We've got some really powerful gateways coming up. We've got the 12-12 gateway coming up next week. Then we have the solstice coming up. Then we have another massive portal as we enter the new year. This year's New Year's Eve is going to be huge. I can feel the energy behind it. It's going to be absolutely massive. And then, of course, we have there the 22nd, well, both the 2nd and the 22nd of February next year is also massive portals as well. So we've got a lot of opportunity for this light to come in, a lot of anchoring that can be done. And we don't have to wait for these dates, not at all. I mean, you can make that choice now, but certain frequencies, certain planetary alignments, they can give us a boost. They can amplify those energies. And so, we've got a big one coming up on the 12-12 gateway. It's a really amazing opportunity to breathe into your heart, to connect in and to feel, okay, where is my energy at? I've had so many emails, countless. I mean, I'm like a month behind on replying to emails right now. Like, there's just been so much in my inbox. But people are asking me all the same questions. It's like, but Eesha, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? It's so much more simple than you think. And it, sometimes it doesn't even require you to leave your house. The change from the frequency level, you can do right here, right now. It's as simple as reconnecting to that divine essence in you, recognizing that you are a conscious creator, a conscious co-creator of this reality. And so you can choose right now in this moment to bring your frequency back to love. It is that simple. It is that simple. And this is it. It doesn't even require massive processes. It doesn't require years and years of sitting in the Himalayas with your legs crossed under a Bodhi tree. It's just making that choice in this moment now to shift your frequency. And then you choose it again in the next now, and the next now, and the next now. And so you make love your primary choice. And I used to do this very consciously when I was in the early stages of my awakening. And I remember I'd be driving around the streets and I would just think, I choose love, I choose love, I choose love. And when I said it to myself enough times, it became a reality. And then at some point you become that love. It goes from being a choice to actually you are it, because you are. That is your true nature. You are that love. But sometimes we forget, and that's okay. It's okay. But what if you were to make a different choice now? What if you were able to just breathe in your heart as you're listening to the words, you're listening to the sound of my voice, and you feel that resonance in your heart? Oh, there it is. There's that remembering. There's that connection. And all of us humans, each and every one of us, we are as one in this moment. Always have been, always will be. We are one with the animals. We are one with the plants. We are one with the trees. We are one with each other. And if you can find it in your heart to love even the most despicable humans on the planet, the ones that you think are at fault, the ones that you think you want to blame for everything, the ones that you think you want to hate. What's not helping right now is this massive, massive movement of fuck the government and just finding somebody to blame. Blame doesn't serve anyone. There is no point in blame. Because at the end of the day, even your energy is contributing to the world as it is right now. And when we can take some level of personal responsibility in that, it's not going to, no one person is going to save the world. It's not going to be like that. It's each person making an individual choice in this moment, in this now, to change this reality now. This is how we create true change. This is how we shift realities at a mass global quantum level. I have hosted many, many meditations over the years where we've just connected into specific star systems or connected to the heart of Gaia. We've watched the Schumann resonance shift just through our intention, And it is as simple as taking a breath into your heart right now, breathing that so deep, and then radiating that out to the whole world, the whole planet, every person, every living, non-living plant, animal, tree, grain of sand on this planet. Just, we visualize that now, radiating that love. Immediately in this moment, we are shifting the collective frequency. That's it. So I hope this gives you a sense of empowerment in yourself today, because wherever you are in your life, wherever you are in your journey, the external world is always created from inside the internal, from inside the heart space. So when you go to the root of where it all begins, which is the heart, it's the love frequency. This entire reality that we're living in is a vibration of love expressing through the third dimension, through the physical reality. And as we lift our frequency, our consciousness beyond the 3D into the 4D, the 5D and beyond, the 6th dimensional frequency of harmony, the 7th dimensional frequency of grace, all the way up to the 13th dimension of total oneness, of non-physicality, of just pure existence. That is what is available to you in the now. Planetary ascension isn't something that's going to happen in some random future time. You know, it's each person can have it now. You can take the steps right now to get your life into a fifth dimensional frequency, and your neighbors can do the same, and your friends can do the same, and your family can do the same if they choose that. So the only thing between you and having that life is the choice in this moment. It's a choice. Your consciousness is a choice. And the moments when it feels the most difficult to make that choice are the moments when it's needed the most. So you can choose it now. Take a deep breath into your heart. Feel that love. Feel that divinity that's always been there. Your connection to source, divine, creation, love, frequency. It's all available to you in the now. And just by watching this video and by sharing it and by getting more and more people into this energy is all it takes to create this mass vibration shift. In the last 2 years, I've been watching the timelines going in and out. And certain timelines have just winked out of existence because the collective consciousness hasn't been able to sustain it. And this is why I have dedicated the last 6.5 years of my life to sharing this message far and wide. I've created a massive empire. You know, I've run courses. Like I'm sharing this all day, every day, so that you can remember who you really are, because that is how we're going to create the reality. It's not up to anyone else. It's up to us. It's up to you. It's up to me. It's up to each individual person to make that choice, to shift that frequency. And sometimes it can seem like, oh, but it's just little old me, but it's not. Each and every single one of you is connected to the giant tapestry that is this creation, this life that we live. And when you recognize that, you recognize the frequency and what you have the capacity to access in the now. This is the most empowering realization that you can come to. You know, the real shift right now, the real game actually needs to be played in the quantum. And it's so important that we go there, because right now everybody's still playing at it in the 3D. It's like, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, there's like legal stuff, and there's medical stuff, and there's scientific research, and blah, 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 whatever. And I'm looking at the whole thing going, but guys, just put your attention onto frequency, onto energy, because that is what is creating all of this. And right now, you know, the planetary grids are buzzing. They are buzzing with light. You know, there's all that's needed now is just an integration. And for us humans to connect, to be those beacons, those anchors of light. We connect from our heart into the heart of Gaia. We connect from our heart up to source. We create that vertical alignment of energy through each of our chakras. And when that light flows through us, we become in that frequency now. It's now. 5D is here. It's now. Ascension is here. It's now. And each person that makes that choice takes us one step closer. You know, Star Family have been telling me for years and years and years that all we need is 1% of the population to be truly anchoring that 5D frequency, and the whole planet just gets there. That's it. We don't need to go through all of this. You know, a lot of people, unfortunately, though, have been placing their awareness into a fourth dimensional ascension. There's been a lot of groups that have been propagating that, and the 4D is still in duality. It has the time spiral. And in the fourth dimension, you have the lower and the higher. There are 13 dimensional frequencies in this universe. And the 13th is actually the 0 point that spirals through all of them. So out of the remaining 12, it's 12 dimensions and 12 subdimensions in each frequency. And when you look at what's actually happening in the astral is typically the fourth dimensional realm. You've got the lower bandwidths and the higher bandwidths, but it's still in duality. It's only when you get to a true 5D ascension that we experience unity consciousness. And so all we need is more people focusing on that unified field. You know, I have been hearing from Star Family for at least 2 years now that the most important thing we can be doing, each and every one of us, is just visualizing and anchoring that vision of 5D Earth and feeling in the body in the now, the harmony, feeling that grace, feeling that connection to divinity. And that's enough to shift the planet. So that's it, guys. You know, we're moving into 2022. It's been a crazy couple of years. And right now, each and every one of you has a choice to make. You can choose to ignore this video and do nothing about it. I don't know what good that's going to do. Or you can actually hear the message and embody the message and feel that love frequency. And if you need a little help, you know, sometimes the mind can get in the way and you know, you can gloss over some of these things. If you really want to drop into that heart space and have the experience of that, I've created a meditation called the 4 Foundation Practices. I also have a group program where we do weekly activations, and I guide groups of people through this constantly. Reach out, join the movement, be a part of that. And also, guys, be ready and willing to invest in the reality that you want to create. You know, I mean, right now, some of the biggest industries in the world are actually literally getting paid to destroy the planet, you know? And what I want to see is an empire where people actually are spiritual, you know? And imagine if we had an organization where thousands of people were getting paid each day to help other people learn spirituality. And it was like this epic business model where instead of people, you know, getting paid to like mine or destroy the planet, they were actually getting paid to restore and develop and uplift and do all these amazing things, you know? It's a whole new world. It's a whole new world. So be willing to invest in it as well. You know, there is an element of 3D anchoring that needs to happen right now. One of the biggest things that's actually holding back this ascension is that people just aren't willing to pay for spirituality. Well, then if you're not willing to pay for it, how can we create this new world? It requires, you know, coming out from the current system, blossoming into this new reality. But elements of the old reality are going to have to be part of that transition. And money is a huge part of that. This is something I talk about a lot in a lot of my teachings. So yes, it's great to meditate. It's great to shift your frequency, but to truly anchor in this reality through systems and processes, there is going to be a level of capitalization to it, you know? And eventually, yes, eventually when the whole planet gets to 5D, we're not going to need it anymore. I've seen that. I know that vision to be 100% true from everything that I've seen. But in the meantime, be ready to invest in this reality that you want to create. You know, if the spiritual teachers of this world had millions and millions of dollars instead of the people, you know, the other people who are filthy rich right now, I think we'd already be living in a very different world. So, you know, money mindset and shifting that paradigm is a huge part of this. But the other is also just doing the actions. It's dropping into your heart space, it's doing the daily meditations. I'll pop some links in the comments or in the descriptions below. And you'll see for yourself, you'll drop into the energy. At first, it'll seem like just a small change. And what typically happens for people is first, you know, your life changes. So it'll be your life starts to improve. You know, that's usually the first thing. And if your life is, you know, if you're struggling right now, then that's probably where you're at. You know, before you can start thinking about the whole world, you have to get yourself sorted. You know, and for those of us that are in a position where we are comfortable and we're okay, and you know, financially we're doing all right, then we can start thinking about our neighbors, our friends, the rest of the world. We can start thinking about, well, how do we get this message out to millions and millions of people? And it's a whole other system required to do that, which is what I've been working towards for 6.5 years now. So we all have a role to play in this. This planetary ascension is happening. And, you know, I look at the grids every day, and actually there's a lot of promising hope. It's not as doom and gloom as people are making out to be. And the biggest illusion right now is that people want you to believe it's more doom and gloom than what it actually is. And the reality of it is that these light frequencies and the planetary grids, the processes for ascension are all in place. All that's required now is you to open your heart, connect into that, and feel that 5D frequency that's already flowing through Gaia, because she's been there for a while. It's just us that need to catch up to it. And there's a lot that's trying to get in the way of that. But remember, your mind is very powerful. Your energy is very powerful. Your heart is so powerful. You have the capacity to make the choice now. And so instead of just living in the reality that's being created for you, recognize that you are creating it and be willing to create it. Be willing to take the actions to create it, to do what it takes so that we can all enjoy this reality. Because quite frankly, guys, I want to be living in 5D Earth in less than a decade. And I do have the blueprints to get there. It just requires a lot more humans to get on board. So, you know, this is it, guys. Like the 5D empire, we're building it and it's happening now. It's right here, right now, that shift in frequency. It just requires you to make a personal choice. And if you make that choice now, your reality can start changing immediately. Thank you so much. My name is Eesha Patel. Please share this message far and wide. just make it go viral, guys. You've done it before, you can do it again. Just let the people know, let the humans know. We've got a mission. 78 million people is all it takes. That's 1% of the population to anchor a 5G frequency so that the entire population of this planet can truly, truly experience the fifth dimensional frequency that we are here for, that we have been born on this planet to be a part of the planetary ascension. And we can totally do this, guys. All right, sending you so much love. I love you all. And yeah, check those links in the comments and description below. Bye.